Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you for joining me for the monthly MiramoPDF coffee break webinar. This 20-minute webinar will cover how to create a custom MiramoPDF DITA-OT plugin and how that can be used for multilingual publishing. Previous webinars, which are on our Miramo YouTube channel, cover an overview of how MiramoPDF works and then specific PDF formatting tasks. So those specific sessions will allow you to compare your own PDF formatting tool with MiramoPDF and allow you to calculate how much time and money you'll save with MiramoPDF. And that is my sales spiel over. All right, so maybe you'll check them out. It's on our YouTube channel. So if you have any questions at all, pop them in the chat window. If I can't answer them during the webinar, I'll answer them later by email. So what is a custom plugin? It is usually a company-specific or project-specific plugin that builds on top of the standard MiramoPDF DITA-OT plugin. And why would you create one? You'd create one to future-proof against upgrades in either the DITA-OT or the MiramoPDF plugin. And it does this by providing a separate location for customized multilingual generated text, support for non-standard languages, specific templates, specific fonts, logos, images, and then any extensions or modifications to the functionality of the MiramoPDF plugin. But in this session, we're just going to create a custom plugin for company ABC. And in that plugin, I'm going to customize some multilingual generated text. And then I'm going to set up support for a non-standard language within the plugin too. The non-standard language is Tamil. And what I mean by non-standard is a language not supported by the DITA-OT. I'm going to work within Oxygen. Here's some sample DITA that contains multilingual generated text in English, French, and Russian notes. On the right-hand side are the standard MiramoPDF transformations that I've already imported. And this is the production transformation. This is the development transformation. And what I mean by a development transformation is one that contains all the formatting information from the template that produced it. So the PDF that's produced is like a map to the template that created the design. So you can review all the formatting information in the PDF and then go back into the template and make your changes, and it makes it very simple. The last transformation is one that generates a new plugin. So I'm going to edit that transformation and customize it for company ABC. So I'm going to change the plugin name to com.miramo.abc-mmpdf. And then the trans type, I'm going to change to ABC-MMPDF. So that's our naming convention. Of course, you can use your own. Right, so we're going to create the custom plugin now. So just double click on the transformation and it should only take a couple of seconds to generate. So once it's generated, which it has, I'm going to import the associated transformation and into the plugins folder in the DITA-OT, wherever that's located for you. And here is the custom plugin generated. And inside here is the associated transformation scenario. Okay, so the transformation scenario is imported. This is going to be a production transformation scenario, but I'm going to edit it and make it a development transformation scenario so you can see what a development PDF looks like. It's all very well to describe it, but it'd be better if you saw it. Okay, so I'm going to run that transformation scenario against this sample data. The formatting for the PDF that's about to be produced is comes from the default template that comes with the standard Miramo plugin and also the custom Miramo plugin. So what the PDF produced will be out of the box with no changes. So if you're not familiar with how MiramoPDF works, I was just about to explain, our plugin performs a topic merge on the DITA, then it does a transformation to our own version of XML, Miramo XML, which is fully documented. And then the template, in this case, the default template is applied to that Miramo XML and a PDF is rendered. Now, this is a development PDF. And if I roll over these tooltips, it gives you all the formatting information relating to this paragraph. Down here, it gives you information on the section and also the page. And here we have a chapter title and all the formatting information for that, and all the formatting information for the notes. So you would go into the template, go to the formatter, the formatting paragraph, the format paragraph note, and make any changes to any of the properties there. So it makes it very simple. All right, so this is English notes, French notes, and Russian notes. So this is all multilingual generated text. There's the English text, the French text, and the Russian text. Right, so which text am I going to change? I think I'm going to change, well, I know I'm going to change, is the French text. So here we have, I'm going to change caution. I want to change the generated text for caution in the French file. And right, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to close the notes PDF, back into Oxygen, and I'm going to show you how to change that generated text. So I'm already in the custom plugin folder. And in here, if I go into the config folder in there and in the strings folder, here are all the languages, and contained in there are the specific language strings for each language. So I'm going to open those 3 languages: English, French, and Russian. It's a little controversial at the moment. Okay, so there's those 3 language files. And as you can see inside in the Russian file, here is a list of variables and the associated generated text. And here's the French, and here's the English. So I want to change the generated text for French, for caution. Now, here's caution here. So it says DITA-OT-ID here. So that means that it pulls the generated text from the DITA-OT, and I want to just put in my own text. So I'll just copy that and paste over here. And I looked up caution earlier, and the translation was means on, I hope that's right, but I'm sure you'll let me off the hook if it isn't. Okay, and save. Right, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually add a new variable. So I have it set up here. So here is the information for the new variable that I want to add. So I'm going to the French file. I'm going to add the variable lang name, which is a handy variable to have. And so here is lang name is Francais, and save. And here is the line of code for that. So in the English folder, lang name is English. Save, and then I'll do the Russian. Right, so that is a new variable set up in the strings file for those 3 languages, and save that as well. Better make sure I did it. Yeah, perfect. Okay. So if we want to see the results of that, we need to go into the template and add that variable into a text frame, and then I'll rerun the DITA through, and we should see that new variable and also the change in the generated text for the French. Right, so I'm going to open up MiramoPDF, and I'm going to browse for the template. So back into the plugins folder, into the custom plugin, and then the default template within the custom plugin. So this is the Gui Template Designer within MiramoPDF. I'm going to go to the first page. This is where I want to put the new variable that I just created. So click here on the left to create a background text frame. Double click in here and then right click and manage variables. I'm going to add that new variable that I created. So lang dash name, close. And then I'm going to add that variable into the text frame. Insert variable lang dash name. Now to apply some formatting, right click and click from any of these formats. I'm going to go for chapter header. So I selected chapter header as the formatting for that lang name, and here are the properties of chapter header here. I want the text to be white. I want the text aligned to the end, and I want to create a margin around the text. So I'm going to click down here in paraframe and add a 20-point margin around the text. There is the option to add rulings and rounded corners and all sorts. You could go mad, but just for the purposes of this webinar, I won't go any further than this. Right. So I'm going to grab that text frame. Clicked on the wrong thing. Right. Click out. Right. I'm going to grab that text frame. So the Gui Template Designer allows you to grab objects and move them. And as you move them, the value of the positioning, and if you resize them, the sizing is all amended within the properties column here on the right. So it's all very intuitive. Right, so I want to put it along here, but I want it to be rotated. So I'm going to rotate it 270 degrees. And you're all saying the text is white, it's not going to display. Correct. I need to put some fill in. So I'm going to put a fill color in, document color 2. Okay, right. So my lang name variable is in there, and it's going to display in our new document. So back into Oxygen. Let's run, am I in the notes data map? I am. I'm going to run the transformation scenario inside associated with the new plugin. And as I said, a topic merge has been performed, then a transformation to MiramoXML. That amended template that you just saw has then been applied to that MiramoXML, and then a PDF is about to be displayed any second now. There you go. Okay, so here is the PDF again. I didn't change it back. It's still a development PDF. And here we have the English notes with English in a tab here. Here we have the French notes, and for caution, it has the new generated text, mise en garde. And here we have the Russian notes. Okay, so that's the changes to the multilingual text. I hope you're highly impressed. I'm going to close that. Right, so the next thing to do is publish a non-standard language. Right, back into Oxygen. Let's see, here we have our DITA. Right, so to create support for a non-standard language, I need to add that language string ta.xml into the strings folder. And I also need to add it to the lang list within that strings folder as well. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So back into the plugin, into config and strings. Right, inside the strings folder is a lang list, and that lists all those files that you see inside the strings folder. So there is no TA support here, Tamil support. So I'm going to put a reference to the Tamil file in here. So I'm just going to copy Ukraine for a bit of balance. And right, language XML lang equals TA. And the second one is TA-TA. Oops. -TA. And the file name it's going to reference is TA-.xml and TA.xml. And the language, Miramo language name is Tamil. And Tamil. So this is the lang list updated to include a reference to the Tamil file in the strings folder. So I'm going to save that. And now I need to add the Tamil strings folder inside into the custom plugin. Okay, now, so here we go. I have there is the Tamil string file. So I'm going to copy that, go back into the custom plugin, config strings, and I'm going to paste that. Okay. Right, the last thing I need to do is duplicate this transformation to make it reference a new template, which is a Tamil template. So I'm gone, there is our duplicated custom plugin for Tamil, and I want to point it to a different template. So here's MMPDF MFD file, default MFD. I want to change that to, sorry, I want to change that to the Tamil template. So that Tamil template is located with the Tamil DITA. So I need to point it towards that. So MFD dir, I need to tell it that it's in with the DITA $CFD. I'm pointing it towards the Tamil template. And now we're going to publish some Tamil. Right, so don't forget to put any questions you have in the chat window. We'll be delighted to answer them. And also, I was thinking if you have any suggestions as to specific formatting tasks you'd like for the next webinar or the next few webinars, do put them in the chat window or send me an email at miramo@datazone.com, and be delighted to look at your suggestions. Right, so this is the Tamil PDF. It's quite startling, but you get the point. So we've published a non-standard language here, and that support is in the custom plugin. So any upgrades in the DITA-OT or in the MiramoPDF plugin will not be overwritten. Oh, this will not be overwritten. So here's a table, and just to point out, the background of that table is an SVG. I don't know how lovely that is, but so it's a possibility. All right, folks, that's it for now. Looking forward to any questions you might have. Do send them in by email or any suggestions. I would appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope I get to talk to you again soon. Thank you so much.